And hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Living Memory Association Reminiscence videos. Can you guess what this one is about? Yes, it's the happiest days of your life, apparently, school days. But were they the happiest days of your life? So, which school did you go to and how old were you when you started? And was it a day that you remember vividly? Was it a day when you were very nervous? Or did you enjoy it straight from the start, going to school? So let's start with going to school, walking to school. Did you get the bus to school? Was it close by? Or did you go on your own? When you went, did you carry a bag like this, a satchel? Lots of people remember taking this. I remember we didn't have satchels in the 60s and 70s. It was plastic Adidas bags and things like that later on, but I do remember them always had to have a good bag. And did you have favourite teachers at school? Was it a good mix of female and male teachers? And did you have teachers that were very disciplined? Lots of people talk about teachers walking around with these, which of course was the tawse or the strap. And this would be administered on the hand or elsewhere, and it would be administered for things like talking too much, or we've heard tales at the Wee Museum of Memory of people actually getting the strap because they're left-handed and were being made to write with their right hand. And writing, in days gone by, writing was extremely important in school. So of course we had, and I remember exercise books like this. This is a great Edinburgh Corporation Education Department textbook or writing exercise book, which has been written in, and somebody's done extremely well here with lots of ticks. And of course there were other things like these are textbooks, exercise books, where you had to do these various exercises, colouring in, etc. No iPads back in the day, various different styles. I remember when I was in school, the great fashion was, and we can see it with this lovely dark exercise book, which has been, as you look there, covered, and it was a great vogue when I was in school to cover your exercise book with anything from brown paper. I remember mine was covered in embossed red wallpaper. And of course we're going right back now with the slate. Now I've heard of people still using the slate in the 1970s, but generally it was before that, and you would have a slate pencil which would go across there, and it was sometimes you could get it to make a really screechy sound, just like the dreaded blackboard sound. So that's the slate. Writing, you had to use the right implements. So nibs, lots of different nibs here for these pens, which would be dipped into an inkwell like that. This was a great chance to have a bit of mischief. And I remember putting blotting paper in the ink and flicking it around the place was one of those great exercises. We, in my day, in the 60s, we didn't have inkwells and things like that, or dipping pens, but we did have fountain pens like that. And I had a headmaster who said that the biro pen was the invention of the devil. So it was all ink pens like that. What did you write with? This, the instruments here for compass, divider, protractors. This was a dread of mine. I was terrible at all this. But one thing I do remember, which was quite a game we'd had with these compass protractors, was, and I'm not going to do this very fast, but back in our day, if you could do that fast, you were very accomplished. I'm going to stop now because that's getting dangerous. But what sort of games did you play when you were in school? Some of them I'm sure you might not admit to. And we spoke a bit about blackboards. Now, the blackboard we had was one that was on a roller, so you could roll it round. And apparently one of the great tricks was to put pennies on the little metal divide shelf things on the blackboard. So when you pulled it round, when the teacher pulled it round, all these pennies would shoot off. But it was one of those jobs that was revered, was actually wiping down the blackboard. And these, of course, are the blackboard rubbers, which normally would have clouds of chalk coming out of them. And do you remember this ever happening to you? These flying through the air at inattentive pupils. Don't think we'd get away with that sort of behaviour now. Now, I think children do still get milk at school, but I don't think they get it in one of these lovely little glass bottles. These are 1/3 of the pint milk bottles. And I think generally you either loved your school milk or you hated it. And again, there are great tales of the milk being left outside during those hard winters that we used to have, and the milk actually pressing up the silver top of this. Or the other side of it, which is probably why you'd hate milk, is the crate of milk was brought in and put by the radiator or the fire and would be horribly lukewarm by the time you got it. I seem to remember you had a straw to drink it with, so you could make lots of noise. So the classroom would be full of all this noise of children using their straws. Making bubbles was the other great thing. Did you have milk at school? Did you like it or did you hate it? So when you went into school, did you have separate entrances for boys and girls? You can see this on older schools still. You can see the boys and girls entrance. And in fact, some schools you'd actually have playgrounds that were separate between boys and girls. And what age were you when you left school? Were you 14? I was actually 16, but it hadn't been too far before that the age of school leaving had been raised. Did you finish school on a Friday and start your job on a Monday? A lot of people had to do that because they needed to earn money. And we also hear of people that could have gone on longer at school but just couldn't do because of economic reasons. Now, next time we're going to be talking about what you might have done in the playground. Yes, we're going to talk about games, but I hope that's brought back some memories for you. I hope they haven't been too traumatic. But most of all, I hope you've paid attention.